have you ever been to Bali?
No.
Yeah, Bali is like, there's so many mopeds that it's when you breathe, you're just breathe. It's like you're taking a bong rip from a muffler, just every time
I'm
you
like a
start
Kawasaki 75.
the day. Right? Yeah, getting some of that Kawasaki smoke cloud all up in your lungs, baby, to start the day. Get a little high in. Every episode, we want to start this off with some good news, right? So we've got a few pieces of good news to hopefully brighten your day. This is episode 2 of the Vybe Source Podcast, #1 podcast in the universe. It's just facts, science. There's some sacred geometry that was used to figure that out. Anyway, we're going to dive in. Jeff Bezos, his ex-wife, Mackenzie Scott, is donating over $2.7 billion to 286 organizations, no strings attached, and she's citing the wealth gap as her motivation to do so. So I was like, oh my God, 2.7, wow, that must be a big chunk. Nope. She's worth, I think she's worth $60 billion right now.
It's increased since her divorce.
Oh my God.
Now, is that due to the
Yes.
divorce, or does she have something that she generates income as well?
Yeah, she has 4% stock in Amazon still.
And then
Yeah,
got the divorce money?
And,
Yeah.
And the divorce
Yeah.
money.
So she's, as long as Jeff Bezos is chilling, launching rockets, doing his thing, she's going to be making more money.
That's so gangster.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm happy to see that. It's interesting. Don't you find it interesting, Angel, how the majority of this type of donation is coming from the females that divorce their crazy billionaire husbands?
I know. I can't tell if it's out of the goodness of their heart or if it's like, I'm going to divorce you. I don't actually want your money. I just don't want you to have your money.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to give it to whoever I want.
Well, I think about this often. I genuinely think about this often. Like when I'm thinking about like Bill Gates or you have Jeff Bezos, with how much money they have. And then I see how they spend that money. I don't want to be a judge. I don't want to be one of those people that's like, you need to give us all your money. Fuck you. It's like, no, I think everybody should work hard. They get to do what they want to do. And, maybe like the first half of their life, they're making all the money. And the second half of their life, they're giving it away. Kind of like,
Right.
Andrew Carnegie did.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm okay with like letting time play out and understanding that Mackenzie Bezos, or Mackenzie Scott now, is going to give away all that money whether you like it or not.
There we go. I think they're just addicted to like the hustle race.
Yeah.
Like they don't really care how much money they have. They just know they want more, and that's how they make all their decisions.
Know who I think got into trouble with that is Bill Gates.
Yeah.
I think like during this pandemic, he became a health expert. Did you recognize
Yeah,
that?
that was incredible.
And that was one thing where I was like, okay, this is where your wealth has gone just too far. You're like, Bill Gates was quoted, I don't know if you guys ever saw this, but he was like, I love the pharmaceutical industry more than any other industry because it's the only place where I can 10x my money. And then so anybody listening to him during the pandemic, this is supposed to be a good news section, but are you screen recording?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we're gonna rip Bill Gates real quick.
Well, I can
during
tell
this
you one
good
thing:
news
no
segment.
health experts shop at Gap. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, that's why. Typically the dad socks are like the white Skechers or the white Nikes with white socks. So he's going with the all black dad fade on
Ooh.
That's pretty nice. I don't like ripping people, but
I do.
okay, yeah. It's kind of fun.
I think
But
up there in
Bill
the top
Gates
left,
needs
he's
a
in
good rip.
a UPS management uniform. The picture on the top left, second from the right.
Someone photoshopped boobs onto him. Just getting toasted. All right, we're gonna keep going through some good news. We got more Jeff Bezos material coming up here in the podcast. We got some psilocybin conversations. Ooh. We got some aliens, possibly. Who knows? Another piece of good news is in Nigeria, there's homes being built with recycled plastic, which is 12 times stronger than brick. And you got some photos there. You can see these structures, which I think this is really awesome. There's so many conversations about, plastic waste, plastics in the ocean. But at the end of the day, plastic is a pretty good invention if we recycle it and use it correctly and we don't litter with it. What do you got, Angel?
My thought is if plastic is one of the best things ever invented, why are we just trashing it? Why don't we repurpose it?
Right.
If you can make structures like this, Incredible.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. I was telling you, I think I was talking to you the other day, Zach. I believe in 2017 or 2018. I believe one of the 2 years. I went to Norway and Sweden and Finland, and I was doing documentary work, and I took a little detour, and I went to this recycling facility, and it's actually. It was at the time. It was the number one, the newest. It was the greatest. It was the best recycling facility in the entire world. It was actually huge. Okay, and it was wild. I got a full tour through it. I filmed it all. I'll put a video out at some point about this. But it had all of these different conveyor belts that would shoot little air pockets out and separate the trash perfectly. Here in America, we use landfills, and we just literally take all these valuable resources, and we're like, what do we do with them? Dirt.
Well, also in America, no one knows how to recycle, so half our
Yeah.
recycling containers get contaminated.
Right.
Anyways, that's my thing with plastic too, kind of like what Angel said. From a business bottom line standpoint, if you don't make a ban on plastics, everyone's going to use plastic because it's so much cheaper than everything else. It's not even remotely close. So why don't we reuse it for as many possible things?
Right. Yeah, well, there's so many different ways to reuse it, right? Once it gets to the point, because what I learned about recycling is that plastics have different grades, and essentially the lower grade plastics that can't be recycled, here in America, we just throw those away. Over in places like Finland or Norway, they actually recycle them, and they'll use them for fabrics, or in Nigeria, they'll use them to build homes. So. Right. Here in America, because we have so much land, I think maybe, Angel, you could look this up. Those are the different types of plastics. So if anybody's new to recycling, you can look at, the bottom of your plastic water bottle or, your to-go container for your food. And it's going to tell you what quality of plastic that is and what, recyclability it is. And if you can drink out of it, right? Because some plastics you actually shouldn't drink out of them. It's not
the
good
sad
for
thing
your
is I can already tell the average American is going to take one look at that chart that might be on the side of a recycling bin and say, I'm throwing this Pepsi can in the garbage.
Right. They're like, dude, I got a lot of other things to deal with.
Right.
Yeah, like you said, until we get to that point where, there's some more strict bans placed on plastic, or I don't even necessarily like the idea of bans and scaring people. I like the incentives, of in Norway, there's 5 different bins. Here in America, we only have one bin, and everybody just throws everything, including their cat's litter and their baby's diaper in it. And they're like, oh yeah, you can recycle that, right? It's no, man, that's got poop in it.
You want to know my master plan? I think, how grocery stores that soda return machine right there?
Yeah.
So instead of those, every grocery store should be tax incentivized to have machines for each of those different little triangle things. And then when you take all your recycling to the store, you put it in the different machines of the correct one. The grocery store gets an incentive from the government to have those and host that recycling program.
Yeah.
We are incentivized by getting coupons or paid a tiny little fraction back. It's 10 cents for pop cans, but what if it was 1 cent for any piece of plastic?
Yeah.
And then, no one's going to lose out on the money part of it, and everybody will be happier to recycle.
Yeah, and then there's also people that are going to make a living literally off of just going and collecting plastic off the side of roads and making some money on it.
Why wouldn't you?
That's the beautiful part about it. I think that what you just brought up is really important because I think there's this philosophical, what I'm seeing in America right now, in many nations, is this philosophical difference in ideal systems where we believe there's a large group of people that believe the government should do all these things for us. And then there's the other group of people that believe in personal freedoms, personal accountability, and incentivization, incentivizing, like you were just describing. I was talking to a company, very large company that does suspension. It's our buddy Nate. Over at Fox Motorsports, one of the largest companies here in America. They manufacture a lot of their stuff here. Under the last administration, they were given tax incentives to reach maximum efficiency. And so for years, they had been struggling. They'd been wasting a lot of metal and all sorts of materials. But then when they were given that tax incentive to become efficient, they became efficient instantaneously. Whereas there's a lot of people that philosophically believe, well, we need to tax these big companies and we need to take more money away from them. It's well, when you're doing that, they're not able to hire as many people.
Right.
They're not able to innovate as much. And so it actually stifles creativity and innovation by taxing people more, which is why, if people understood the history of this country, we would understand that that's why that's a huge reason why the United States became the United States is King George and the British government tried to tax us. And for almost 100 years, the United States didn't do any payroll taxes, didn't do any corporate taxes, and they didn't do any sales tax.
Wasn't the original tax Britain wanted to tax us was 3%?
Yeah.
And all our settlers were like, no.
Yeah. We're like, oh, here's your tea. Yeah, you think it's lit? Well, it's in the ocean now. Yeah. I think that's definitely something we're going to have to work on.
Bezos in 2007 and 2011 paid no income tax, and people were pissed. However, if you look at, why don't you use that as an incentive to become really wealthy, to create jobs, create incredible businesses, so you don't get taxed?
Right.
And even for like him, his thing is he doesn't technically have income. He pays himself through assets or through investments that he moves around, so he doesn't have that income. But so many people they Google net worth, and they think that's how much that person makes, like off a paycheck, and they don't understand that most of these large business owners, they don't get a paycheck from themselves every week. That's just not how they get paid.
Here's what we're doing right now is we are vilifying wealthy people. And what this is doing is the reverse of what we really truly want it to do is we're telling people who are in poverty, who are struggling in life, that rich people, bad. People with money, bad. Successful people, bad. They don't care about you. You're vilifying them. So instead of educating, instead of saying, hey, this person's wealthy because they did this, this, and this, and launching a massive education program, we're saying that person's bad. They need to pay more in taxes. And all of that's a ploy to steal money so that the government can get bigger. Right. And the people who have been around, who know the history of America, know that that is the downfall of freedom. That's the downfall of democracy, is letting a government get that big.
Right. I'd rather have the government facilitate, like back to the recycling thing. It'd be so much cooler if the government gave that tax incentive. That's all they have to do. Now the private businesses are going to do it. Whereas if the government took full control, there'd be some building, like a town hall or a post office, that would be terribly inefficient. There'd be lines up the yin-yang. You could only use cash. There'd be so many inconveniences where they should just be facilitating.
Angel, you and I were talking about this yesterday. Like, I think the government, it should be doing such minimal amounts of things that you literally don't even realize there's a government.
Right.
Like, the government should have to sell all of us why we should invest in the military. If they're saying, hey, invest in the military because we're going to create a defense system for the planet against asteroids, or there's this crazy country over here and they need some help, but they have to sell us, just like you and we all have to sell our customers on why they should invest in us.
Right.
Instead, we're just giving our tax dollars, and 60% of that's being used, and we don't have any say in it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Everybody should be up in arms against this tax system that we live in right now.
And the people that dedicate their life to go into the military, they're true heroes. They don't get a say in it either.
No.
They just follow whatever the upper chain of command says.
And if the upper chain of command is greedy and they're in these places for the wrong reasons, then it falls on the people who are making these sacrifices, and they're the ones who suffer with PTSD and with all these types of things. So
true.
The government, it's a wee bit concerning for me that young people are being indoctrinated, in my opinion, with these ideas that government should be huge.
Right.
We should give more money to the government. When I actually just saw, if you want to pull this up, Stanford University, they used $7 million from the National Cancer Research Society, or one of those societies, Angel, you'll pull it up, to design a smart toilet. And that's taxpayer money.
Can you just tell me what a smart toilet does?
I'll tell you.
Because I might be interested.
I'll tell you. There's 3 cameras in the smart toilet, and they image your a-hole. I'm not even kidding. They image your b-hole, and they get an image of what's going on, and they measure the time in between bowel movements to just see what's going on, and if you're healthy, if there's something wrong. But okay, here you're using $7 million of taxpayer money. Do you honestly think in the time that we live in that I am going to buy a toilet that is actually taking pictures of my butthole while I'm pooping and uploading it to the cloud?
Sounds like
crazy.
a fetish.
Sure. Yeah. I'm
And
going
I
to do
see
that,
there's a
dude.
2.0
That
as
sounds
well.
like blackmail utopia right there. Are you kidding me? Oh my gosh. But this is an example of where shit gets inefficient, quite literally.
Quite
Pun
literally.
intended right there. It's like, do we really need to put our tax money into smart toilets?
And the worst part is all their data is assuming that's the only toilet you use. As soon as they find out that piece of information.
Yeah, they're like, wait, yeah, we're getting ready to sell our toilet. It's going to be $4,532. All right, one last piece of good news. This is actually a really good one. So a Native American tribe was able to buy back their sacred land in Maine. So how many acres was it? About 143 acres. So this was stolen from them a while ago, and it went up for sale for $449,000. They were able to raise funds to buy back the land. This is the, forgive me if I butcher this name, the Passamaquoddy people
Nailed it.
who have dwelled and cared for the Kuasui Manik for countless generations. So I think this is really cool. I think in the United States and many other places in the world, but definitely in the United States, I do sense there is this rekindling and reconnection with our native ancestors.
Can I just do a quick timeout?
Yeah, please.
Did I just see they bought a 143-acre island for $355,000?
Yep.
I'm moving to Maine.
Well, let's get on that island if we can. No, I think that this is beautiful. I mean, their people had been there for 10,000 years.
That is so awesome.
And so they just got that piece of land back, which is beautiful.
Jeff Bezos' ex-wife is actually donating part of her minority donation program for that. What was it? How many billions of dollars?
200 or no, 2.7. Yeah.
She's donating to natives.
Wow.
So
There
which
we go.
Is really important.
What a woman.
That's epic. So here's for some people that don't understand why it's important to take care of native, indigenous cultures and people. I'm going to tell you why it is. In this westernized civilization that we live in, we've created all of these structures and these systems, and it's become a corporatocracy. Like everything is about money and profit, versus our ancient ancestors and our indigenous peoples. They have a deep, profound connection to the plant and animal kingdom, the cosmos, conservation. Like you can look at satellite imagery in the Amazon, and you can literally see like people that are loggers. They'll log the entire forest if they could. The indigenous boundaries are literally, you can see them from space. You can see where they conserve land. That's just one example of why these people are so important to value and to respect and to listen to.
Yeah, to learn from.
To learn from. That's the key. I think they hold some ancient wisdom that our culture is not quite ready to download. That would be my 2 cents. All right, we're gonna get into to kind of what's happening in the world. There's some fun things going on. Yeah, but I wanted to talk about this. So Governor Newsom out of California, he's a lot of people are against the vaccine passports, right? Some people are totally for it, some people are against it. I happen to be very against it for different reasons, but Newsom is proposing a vaccine tracking app. Maybe we could listen to the clip because he's not calling it.
Provides you the opportunity. We'll announce this later this week to have an electronic version of your paper version of vaccination. It's not a passport. It's not a requirement. It's just the ability now to have an electronic version of that paper version.
It's that paper version. It's not a passport, okay, but it's digital. It's just not paper. Okay, guys,
He
just
stresses
get over
me
it.
out.
Yeah, he freaks me out.
That's what he's doing right there. It's not a requirement, which means it's going to be a requirement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you want to go to a restaurant, you're going to have to show proof. If you want to go to the gym, you're going to have to show proof.
Dude, when are people gonna get it that let's stop giving the government say over what we do.
Right.
What that was my thing during this whole pandemic is I'm acknowledging, like everybody else, that there's a pandemic, but I'm disagreeing with the fact that the government can force us to do something.
Right.
That's crazy.
It just blows my mind because correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I'm pretty sure between 8 and 9 out of 10 adults are either vaccinated or have natural immunity. So that's why they've deemed super spreader events aren't really possible anymore, because you could be out with 100 people and only maybe 10 of those people are at risk of getting COVID and having bad symptoms from it.
Yeah, like Cleveland Clinic had 52,000 employees go through a study, and they found that people who had gotten the vaccine or who had gotten COVID have equal immunity to the virus. And I'm pretty sure equal ability to spread it, right?
Right.
So why are we creating this system? I mean, I know the answer. I'm pretty sure I know the answer. It's because there's pharmaceutical companies involved that are making a lot of money.
Yeah.
They're making $15+ billion off of this pandemic.
Right.
So of course they want you to be tracked. They want you to fear, this. So you go get their vaccine, which you pay them money, which there's side effects. There's no long-term health studies. It's completely an experiment.
Yeah. I just don't. My question is, who are we protecting? If this many people have immunity to it, who are we protecting in those group gatherings where this would even need to be there?
Right.
If only 3 out of 10 American adults had access to the vaccine, then maybe I understand 70% of people could still get it. That's just not where we're at.
Right.
And, the needs of people in Los Angeles are not the same needs as someone like me from West Michigan. We don't have the same needs. Where we live is completely different. The amount of people are different. The type of people are different. So why in the world does this guy get to bring up these ideas with this slicked back hair, and then our governor is like, oh, great idea.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
Right.
Well, who are the people that support this guy? That's what I'm like, dude, what? Did you see what he did at the beginning of the pandemic, where he closed down everybody's business in California pretty much, and then
went to private parties?
No, he kept his winery open.
Nice.
He closed down in Sonoma County all of the wineries, and then kept his open.
Attaboy.
Solid.
That's not a monopoly.
And then like Governor Whitmer during this whole pandemic, she condemned, here in Michigan, she condemned anybody going to Florida, because she was like blaming Michiganders going to Florida for spreading the virus, because Florida was so, ridiculous for opening up. And then she got caught going down there.
Mm-hmm. Let's also keep in mind that in the backdrop of all her press conferences she does from home, she's in a room by herself wearing a mask with a pillow with Fauci's face on it behind her.
Seriously?
Oh, yeah.
God. It's just programming at its finest.
Mm-hmm.
Indoctrination, propaganda. Wake up. But we're not scientists, so we actually probably shouldn't talk about this.
Yeah, let's keep in mind I
nothing.
know very, very little about any of this stuff. So.
Yep. Another piece of Jeff Bezos news. Did you see Jeff Bezos is going to space on Blue Origin's first crewed launch?
Let's go.
Ballsy.
He can stay there.
He's going. Ooh, dang! Angel firing shots. So he's going with his brother, and then they auctioned off another seat for $28 million.
Wait,
Now,
he's actually going?
He's in it.
That is rare, because normally the people that fund and build spaceships don't get in them.
Well, here's the thing about spaceships is it's a spaceship, dog. It blows up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's very ballsy of you. I commend it. Yeah, he's swole. He got swole. But here's the thing. I've got one critique about it. If you could scroll up a little bit to that picture. Cool, Jeff Bezos. You're going to space. I'm just going to let you know you're doing it in a dildo.
Yeah, and also, I only would get on spaceships that have a pointy thing. Like Elon Musk said, he's like, oh, it's terribly inefficient. It actually makes the spaceship worse. But you got to have the pointy tip.
Yeah. So, I mean, hey, congrats. You're
Giant metal
going to space
wiener
in a
just
dick.
flying to the moon.
Some other good news, or some other news that's happening in the world. Something that we found out recently. James Cameron created a deep sea explorer yacht, a 285-foot explorer yacht. What is it called, Angel? Ocean X. So this is the Ocean Explorer. So this is equipped with a full movie studio on board that's going to be able to
Makes
document
sense.
deep sea, which James Cameron's been at this kind of stuff for a while. He's honestly, as far as a filmmaker and a movie producer, he's my favorite by far. Definitely the most inspiring. He's creating. I love how he creates films and movies with like impact, with like paradigm shifting impact.
I do like that. I want to explore the ocean. That's
me too.
And when I say I mean I don't want to be anywhere near the ocean. I want other people to explore the ocean.
Would you do it in a submarine though?
I would go in a submarine, but I don't want to be in charge of exploring the inner depths. But people need to do it. We barely know what's going on down there.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of these UFOs have been like caught splashing down into the ocean too. So you're going to be
not
down
just
in the
splashing
submarine.
down, traveling at insane rates of speed with propulsion we've never seen, and then all of a sudden being able to plunge into the water and continue it.
Yeah. And then still people go to work in their 9 to 5 complaining about life. It's like, didn't you hear the news, guys?
Dude, I'm fairly certain that all the vehicles you see with no license plate, it's not because the Secretary of State has long lines and won't accept anything other than cash. Those are aliens infiltrating the system, and they know the time is now.
That's true. I legit saw an alien the other day.
That's
Do you remember, Angel, when I told you? Do you remember when I was like, have you ever like been inside the Matrix like we are, and then you see an alien in human flesh looking at you, like you had a thought, you had a deep thought, and like it just, you were like shifting the cosmos around you, and then you look over and there's a human being looking at you smiling, and you're like, that's one of them.
That's every time
an
I
alien
see
right there.
Nancy
Yes, yes.
Pelosi's face.
Yeah, people in power freak me out a little bit. How many people on the planet do you think are alien in human flesh vehicles?
I would say, how many people we have on the planet? Like 6 billion?
I think 8 now.
Wow.
Close to 8.
I'd say we got a good 10 million aliens wandering around everywhere.
Like fully, like they just know how to be a human. Like they're just kind of.
And I don't know if they are a part of us or if they're not seen or heard at frequencies our brain can understand. So they just go away.
Do you think that they were born and then they evolved into where they're at now? Like they sent their consciousness into a baby, or do you think they literally created a flesh vehicle? Like, and then
I think they just get here. If they are walking around us in flesh, I think they've just figured out. I bet flesh is pretty simple.
Yeah, I
for
bet.
them.
And manufacturing a passport and like an ID.
I've seen
That's
Rob
pretty
Dyrdek's
basic.
Fantasy Factory where they dress up as old people and they can get pretty good fake flesh. So
Yeah.
I imagine aliens.
Have you ever had a
do that
situation
easy.
like that where you're walking around day to day and you're like, that was for sure an alien?
On a regular basis, especially when everybody was wearing masks. Because there was just some people, all you have to read is their eyes, and some people's eyes are crazy.
Yeah, they're
and,
shifty.
Yeah, and
They're
you look,
looking
I
around
look
like,
at them and I'm like, I'm gonna get out of here.
it's time to move on. One thing that I think is super relevant that I wanted. Oh, wait. So yeah, this Sea Explorer, it includes underwater drones, 2 manned Triton submersibles that can dive to depths exceeding 3,200 feet, along with an ROV and AUV that can plunge over 19,000 feet, and they're able to get 8K cinematic video with it.
That's cool.
I'm personally really excited. We know a little bit of the details on this project, and I can't reveal those quite yet. But I think that they're going to discover some things that are going to alter the course of humanity.
I hope so.
genuinely do.
Angel, can you look up how deep is the ocean?
Well,
I
fun stat.
think it's 7 miles.
Yeah.
So
Oh
that,
my God.
So,
So-
the 19,000 feet is a little bit over 3 miles.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
come on,
A
dude.
good comparison to that would be like if you have an in-ground swimming pool, like how deep they can get 3,000 feet. That's like just sitting your little sifter down in the pool. That's how deep we're getting.
Yeah, also, on average,
On
well, that's on
average.
average. The ocean is 2.3 miles deep.
That
oh
is
my
crazy.
goodness.
So we're gonna be able to get pretty deep then. If that thing can
Yeah.
go 19,000, that's what
We'll be able to explore quite a
3.5
bit.
miles.
Well, also, 80% of the ocean is unmapped and unexplored right now.
At least, yeah.
So I'm excited. Like I was saying this in episode 1, I think within our lifetime, we're going to find some things in space and in our own ocean that are going to drastically alter the way humanity perceives itself. And it's just going to shake these systems that and these dogmas that we've held on to for so long. Like, this is how history was. This is how everything needs to be. This is how it just is.
Right.
It's like all of that's going to get challenged in our lifetime. It already is.
We're due for a mind-blowing change like that. Because my question is way deep down there. Are there little air pockets that are possible? Is it creatures can breathe in different ways other than just via water or oxygen? There's got to be something different.
Yeah, there's got to be like a giant like megalodon that just kind of like survived or something, you know? So I'd be a little freaked out being down in that submarine.
Yeah, I'm not going down in that submarine.
Hell no. That might be a little snack for an underground, like a 7-mile deep beast.
Right.
It's just
that
like, ooh, a
looks
little
like
hors d'oeuvre.
That looks like a Twinkie right there.
Yeah, it does. It looks like a little Snickers bar. One thing I did want to transition into, because this is something you and I have been chatting about a good amount. I don't really have any specific resources, but businesses right now are really struggling to hire people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you had any thoughts on that. You know, like what's kind of coming from this time that we live in, where, you know, it's almost like everything can kind of get handed to you if you're out of a job or if you're out of an opportunity. It's like these safety nets have kind of become career choices for a lot of people.
Right. No, for sure. My whole thing is, when you look at history, all the other economic collapses or massive events that happened, there was no handout. So there was no, the government's going to give you X amount of dollars to make sure you can coast through. There was no canceling rent for over a year, where people didn't have to pay rent if they couldn't afford it. So in those times, people needed money, and they needed it now, which drove down labor costs because so many people wanted to work. Now, in my opinion, when you make people comfortable through chaos, and they're just sitting around, and now they're talking about how, working for less than $17 or $18 an hour isn't worth it. It's not worth it for them because they've got money in the bank. They're comfortable. They might not have to pay rent. They're good to go for the foreseeable future. And most Americans only think short term. So they're not going to think what's going to happen when this runs out.
Yeah, the mindset behind it is what I'm very curious to see how it plays out.
Mm-hmm.
Because you need, like Elon Musk tweeted the other day, it's like you need goods and services are the economy.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have goods and services being produced efficiently and innovation happening across all these different sectors, then, you know, what do we have?
Yeah, and in a capitalistic economy, you need money as an individual at some point if you're going to full on live in that society. So what's going to happen when, due to this labor shortage, people, instead of getting that job, they just don't get the job, and businesses know they don't have labor for it. So now they have to figure out a way, how can we make this good without a human?
Right.
And once they make that jump, there's no going back, because that machine will be infinitely more efficient from the workforce-wise and the financial standpoint, that now in the long term, what are the average person going to do that may not want to be an entrepreneur, that may not want to start their own business, that may not want to generate a passive income? You know, the large majority of people just work and trade their time for money, and that's okay. But what's going to happen when those jobs aren't available anymore? And
that's
now
a really good point.
Now the safety net runs out, because at a certain point, people are going to be sick and tired of working hard and paying money into taxes, and then that money going to people that are bragging on social media, because everybody has a platform about how they're just sitting around or going to concerts or doing this and that. At some point, something's going to give, and it's going to be interesting what plays out.
It's going to be very interesting. Well, I was just saying, like, you know, I don't blame these companies, because, you know, if you have all these very, very entitled, like the college industry has created a huge percentage of this crisis, because you have all these younger people who are going to college, and really it was just a result of pressure from their parents, or, you know, this idea or this ego was formed that college makes me better than people who didn't go. And so then they leave and they're in the workforce, like, I deserve $20 an hour minimum, or even that is probably viewed as a crappy job for them. But it's like they're going and getting jobs at like Qdoba or like, you know, a restaurant after college, and they're demanding a ton of money. It's like, well, you didn't go to college for that. You went to college to get a career that isn't available there. Like the college sold you a bill of goods that isn't legit, and that's creating the problem we're in. You have a generation or multiple generations of very entitled people who think that a degree is just going to get you somewhere. Mm-hmm. It's like, you and I and all of us had to realize the degree isn't. It's a piece of paper. Like ultimately,
I got a lot of them.
Yeah, if I didn't develop skills in that time that I was in college or in that time that I was receiving an education, then I'm not going to get paid very well. Thankfully for me, I realized my teachers and I realized everything around me wasn't really teaching me what I wanted to learn. So I just learned it on my own. I learned it through Google. I learned it through YouTube. I learned it through trial and error. So I developed skills. So college did give me some skills. I'm very grateful for that. But the vast majority of my skills did happen through internships, through really working my ass off for very low amounts of money. But in this economy that we live in right now, it's like I saw our local McDonald's was like $18 an hour, and they can't hire anybody.
Right.
I'm just like, dude, as a kid, if I drove by and saw $18 an hour, I'm like, I'm there.
Right.
I don't care what I have to do. It's like, if that's my vehicle, what I think people have it twisted that are young or they're in this economy right now, they think that these minimum wage jobs are an end result. It's like, no, that's a vehicle to get you to the next stage of your life. And so that's why I say it's a mindset. It's a mindset shift that has to happen where we're viewing jobs not as an end destination and not as this like privileged, like, entitlement that you should be getting some amount of money. It's no, you have to work your ass off if you want to get to where you want to go in life. You should want that.
And even if this is what's harsh for some people, even if you work your ass off, that doesn't mean you get what you want. You have to work your ass off and be good at what you do and make good decisions along the way. And sometimes maybe even get a little lucky along the way.
Yeah.
That stuff's all okay. But here's the thing with capitalism. Do I think it's the end all be all? No. But if you study history, it seems to me like it's the best option we've got right now, unless someone comes up with something different. I'm all ears. And with capitalism, the market dictates value.
Yep.
A company isn't paying you that amount to screw you over. A company's paying you that amount because there's other people in the market willing to work for that amount.
Yep.
When that changes, the amount goes up. When it changes the other way, that amount goes down. And that's just how it be sometimes.
And I think that that's going to happen. Like my example that I would give, it's like if I'm a big company and, I've got Chris here, he's my employee. And I say, hey, Chris, could you, do this, and this today? And Chris is like, fine. And then Chris like drags his feet, does it really slow, makes a bunch of mistakes, costs me money. And then I also have C3PO over here, and I say, hey, could you do this, and this? And C3PO says, beep, boop, beep, beep, boop, and then does it extraordinarily efficiently and doesn't complain. Who am I going to hire? C3PO?
Right.
Chris.
Right.
C3PO.
So true. The other part, just from someone like me who I've worked in auto shops, I've worked at restaurants, I've seen the hourly people, I've seen the sales commission people, I've seen all different types of jobs. The people that always get more income are the people that can show their boss first how to bring more value to their business, and then they ask for the raise.
Yep.
And the boss is like, yeah, sure, if you're bringing me in $20K more a year, I'll give you 15 of that $20K. I'm still getting $5K more a year. You're getting $15K more a year now. Everybody's happy.
Yeah.
But it's the people that are lazy and taking breaks and showing up late, and then they're like, I don't want to work for $12 an hour. Well, you get what you are.
And I think there's a shelf life to this.
Yeah.
I really do. I think, like you already brought it up, but there's a shelf life to this. I think that there's going to come a point where these people that are very loud, they're complaining all the time, they want more, but they're not willing to add more value. It's like they want more money and they want more time off and they want more this, more that. They're trying to make a minimum wage job a end result. And with innovation and technology, that's not where we're going.
Right.
We're going into a place where that job is just a stepping stone. And if you don't see it as a stepping stone, and if you're trying to cling on to it and use it as your end result and live this like fantasy life that you think you're entitled to, good luck.
Right.
It's not gonna work.
Exactly. And one of my favorite things that people often complain about, I heard it all the time in teaching, they complained about how much they have to pay for health insurance, because the employee in general pays about 20% and then the business pays the other 80%. So there's people paying $100 a month for their health insurance, and they have that attitude of, I pay for my own health insurance. No, you pay for 20% of your health insurance.
Yeah. Also, if you're complaining about paying for health insurance, get healthy.
Right. That is true.
I know like the majority of people that doesn't always apply. Like health insurance is pretty critical for emergencies, for like serious things that none of us expect. We're all human. But at the same time, it's like, well, I want to eat what I want to do what I want, and then I want my company to pay for everything. It's like, no, you're going to have to take some accountability in your own life if you want to be like the fullest version of yourself. That's why we created Vybe Source. It's like people need to understand what it takes to become the best version of yourself, to reach your highest potential. We're going on to this next thing. I love Mike Tyson. I love him. I don't know about you, Zach.
He's awesome.
He's hilarious. But Mike Tyson, he says that mushrooms saved his life. Psilocybin, psychedelic mushrooms saved his life.
It's incredible.
Obviously, someone like him who struggled with CTE, struggled with a lot of head trauma, it's pretty obvious that he has like rekindled something late in his life, and he seems to have a really good grasp on his mental health. He said, "Everyone thought I was crazy. I bit this guy's ears off." So, from your perspective, what are you seeing with the psychedelic and the psilocybin?
I mean, honestly, the content I consume is a lot of Joe Rogan and related podcasts to the Joe Rogan Experience, and he has a lot of scientists that go on there and talk about how these things have been throughout history and should be readily available to help other people.
Yeah.
Whether it's MDMA, whether it's hallucinogens, whatever it may be. And I'm all for just helping people. You know what I mean? Like I want people to feel good. But yeah, that's what's tough in America is all this stuff is outlawed at all costs.
Yeah.
So you're trying to convince a group of people that think that if you were to take shrooms that you would become the devil and probably burn down the nearest building.
Well, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I was programmed to believe. And then, come to find out these things are extraordinarily healing. And when you make them illegal, you take away the medicinal benefits and the education behind it. And it's a lot easier for those things to be abused.
And you take away the financial incentive for really smart people to make the best quality versions of it.
Right.
And instead you're getting it from some sketchy place in South America or wherever it comes from, and it's coming in and it's dicey.
Yeah, sometimes you got to risk it for the biscuit.
You do.
But I wouldn't risk it for that biscuit. That's not a biscuit worth risking. Rick Doblin, he came on the JRE Experience recently, and he helps to run this organization called MAPS, which is that a extension of Harvard, or what is MAPS linked to? Well, what they're finding with the psilocybin research is that in these clinical studies, I mean, it's like hands down far more powerful than any pharmaceutical there is. Like, I think it was like one of these studies proved that one use of psilocybin mushrooms was able to eliminate prescriptions for like years with some people. It was like up to 4 to 10 times more effective than the pharmaceuticals. So that to me proves like all the reason why there's so many stigmas around plant medicine, or psychedelics, I believe is because of, Nixon and the war on drugs and this
Rockefeller.
These insane movements to like vilify these things, when it's sad because the greed of just a few people caused humanity to like suffer so much.
It's crazy. And all I can go off is my own personal experience with trying things and being curious, and every time I feel like it completely changes the way I think, because I'm like, holy cow. Like this almost feels like you unlocked a new side of your brain that you never even knew was there.
Right.
And for some people that's scary, for other people that's really soothing, and for some people just like me, it just reminds me that nothing really matters.
Right. And yeah, I don't recommend, like, I've never wanted to be in that position where I'm like, hey, all you kids out there, go and do mushrooms. No, it's like I do not believe that these things are for everybody. I don't. I think they can be for everybody if there's like a clinical setting and you have support around you and there's someone guiding the experience and the integration. For me, like you were kind of saying, like that honestly is how we've developed the connection with nature that we have today. It's like when you're sometimes these psychedelics or plant medicines, as I like to call them, like they actually remind you how connected you are to the planet that you're on. Because this planet's 4+ billion years old. Where did we come from? We came from the planet. That should trip you out in itself, and we don't even talk about that in school or religion or church or anything. It's just we're just walking around on this earth. Hey, make sure you file your taxes, dude. Make sure you go eat some food. Don't forget to drink water. Life should be good. You'll be all right. That's about it.
Sounds like
Worship
you just described
God.
to me.
Yeah, if you don't, you're going to hell. Let's fight with each other. Let's go to war. And that's just how it is.
Well,
My truck's bigger than yours.
mushrooms are proven to create new neural pathways.
Yeah.
So why not?
Well, have you ever been on a highway that is like an older highway and so many cars have driven down it that there's like little like divots where the tires go down? And so literally when you get over a lane, you like feel your car like kind of move just because of how many cars have driven through that lane. That's like the best possible analogy that I can give to psychedelics is what it does is it's like, hey, that road that you've been driving on, this whole field and the entire planet around you is a road, but you're just for some reason choosing that one road every time you go. But your consciousness and your vehicle that you're in can go anywhere. It can do anything. So when you, like you said, Angel, it's like once your neural pathways expand beyond that, it can't go back. And that's why these things have been illegal for so long, is that they don't want people taking these substances. They don't want people to realize, wait a minute, I don't need 10 pharmaceutical drugs for my depression. I just need to spend more time in nature, and I just need to like reconnect with myself.
Also, we're not doctors, so keep that in mind.
Yeah. Listen with just a grain of salt. Or maybe a little sprinkle of mushrooms. Whatever. I think that was it. I did want to answer a few calls again, if that's okay. Okay, we've got 3 messages that we're going to go through.
Let's go.
Again, please call in and ask us anything. I mean, we just enjoy answering your questions. Even if we don't have a good answer, it's
even fun when you call in and just say your mom, your mom, your mom, your mom, your mom. We don't have much to talk about, but it does give us a good laugh.
It does give us a good laugh. So again, this is a segment you can call in, ask us anything. Call 269-910-3849. Right? I think I nailed that. Here we go. We got a call coming out of Hastings, Michigan here. Local caller. Nope, that's actually the pharmaceutical company one. Sorry. We got a call coming in from Brockton, Massachusetts. Let's see what we got here.
Hi, this is Tim from Boston. My question is, with the rise of crypto and the transition possibly being where everything is gone digital, with money and everything, and everyone getting paid in crypto, what do you think the possibility of there being more traceable income, so people wouldn't be able to have small businesses to get paid under the table? And when do you think that transition will or inevitably happen?
Well, it's a good question.
It is good.
What are your thoughts on that, Zach?
First of all, I think it's going to be phenomenal when crypto moves in. I think our financial system's outdated. It's divided up by geographical region in regards to different currencies, which is just crazy now that everything's a global economy. And also regular currencies just make it impossible to do international transactions. Like people that live in Venezuela, it's real difficult for them to buy something on Amazon or buy something online or do anything with their money and get out of the cycle they're in. Whereas if we had multiple cryptos to use, it'd be great. I would challenge his question a little bit, because if anybody wants to dive in right now to a small business, they can definitely tell when someone's getting paid under the table. There's no question about it. It's just people don't check in on small businesses like that as much.
Right.
So I don't think crypto would change that. I think the same thing would happen. It'll just be dependent on how you transfer that money over.
Yeah, I think for fiat currencies for so long, they've been used as a mechanism of control over people, like the Federal Reserve. That's what, honestly, the Federal Reserve, if you really have done some research, you see that the Federal Reserve is the reason for the majority of wars. Like any nation that didn't have a Federal Reserve centralized banking system, we went to war.
Right.
The U.S. was kind of like the soldiers, the boots on the ground. I know there's more to the story than that, but what I'm getting at is that fiat currencies for a long time have just been used by very elite, a very small select handful of people that have used these currencies to manipulate markets, to create vast wealth for themselves, but to control the masses. So I think why crypto is a huge threat to those agencies and those governments, and why they're really talking crap about it, or they're banning it. Like in the case of China, they're banning crypto. I think that's a very positive sign, because like you said, the blockchain, when it's utilized correctly, it's untraceable, it's untrackable. And so certain cryptos, I think, are going to still allow you to have your own personal wealth that people can't really like see fully what you're doing.
Well, my favorite thing about it is going to be with governments and how transparent they're going to have to be, because we're going to see, the president got $50 million for giving a speech at this college. No, he didn't. Let's see who actually gave him that money, why they gave him that money, and where that money's actually going. So I'm excited to see that transparency that comes through, because I think there's always going to be cryptos where you're going to be able to hide stuff. But the blockchain should make things so that it's decentralized and people should be able to see some of those transactions.
Yeah.
There's always going to be privacy, but
yeah, I'm with you, Tim. I'm excited to see where this all goes. But I think ultimately the most beautiful thing for me is that, crypto, there's like, if it's the right coin or if it's the right crypto, there's a limited supply. Right. And with the fiat currencies, like with the US dollar, it's like we just printed 34% of every dollar ever put into circulation within the last 6 months. Like, do you really think that that's a
right? And that was just at the hands of a few of the government that thought that was a great idea. There was no vote or say on that. But yeah, I'm excited. I think this is obviously not financial advice, but I think like Ethereum is going to be almost like an Amazon, or almost the new internet, where everything's conducted on there. And I think there's going to be coins that help third world countries or people that live in there be able to operate in the global economy and get out of the situation they're in. And there's going to be coins for big purchases and coins for small purchases. I think there's a lot of exciting stuff coming. Good luck guessing which coin is going to do what, but it's going to be a fun ride.
Yeah. All right, we got one more message coming in here from North Brooksfield, Massachusetts.
Spencer and Zach. My name is Ruben, and I'm from Southbridge, Massachusetts.
Ruben, what up?
What up, Rube?
How you doing there, man?
I just graduated from college, and it just seems like there's this expectation to have your career in life figured out, and I know that's not true, and I should take my time to explore, different industries and experiences so I can get clarity on what I want to do in my life. But right now, I'm really struggling with picking the right opportunity or experience. Right now, I have a few doors that are opening up. I honestly don't know what to do. I'm scared of making the wrong decision and missing out on a better opportunity. Kind of like this sense of FOMO. Do you have any advice on when you're making the right decision? And are there any practical steps that I can take to get clarity on moving forward and kind of, making the right decision for yourself? I love your guys' podcast, and thank you for everything. Take care, guys.
Ruben, great.
That's my favorite question so far.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it can be really overwhelming leaving the college system, because you shouldn't be leaving with all this debt. Like that isn't what we should be doing for our young people. So you're already at a disadvantage. It's tricky because we don't know the details of what you're passionate about or what these opportunities are. But what I can say, because I've been in very similar positions where there's literally a limitless amount of platforms, I think what you should do, no matter what route you decide, go at it with 100% confidence and a good attitude and a really good mental outlook, and have faith. Have faith that what you're doing is going to lead you to the next opportunity, because, you know, there's been so many things that have had to happen in my career to get me to the point where I worked with the people that I worked with that I had no idea were ahead of me, right? But I did walk through that first door with a good attitude. I worked as hard as I could. I gave my all. There's many times where I was taken advantage of. I was used. I wasn't paid correctly. But I think the laws of the universe always take care of the people that have the best attitude, that work the hardest, and they have the skills. So if you do that, it's pretty hard to make a bad choice in life. I think where people make bad decisions, where they make the wrong decision, it's when they really just have a bad attitude and they expect a lot of things to happen for them. They're a victim of their own circumstances. So I think that would be my tip for you is you know, pick the path that is the most aligned with your passion, or with what you truly, genuinely want to do. Not what your parents want you to do, not what your friends think you should do, not what's going to be comfortable for you. What impact do you want to leave on the world? What's your passion? And what one of these opportunities do you genuinely believe is going to lead you there the best?
I like that. I know if you're anything like me, I had no experience with anything when I graduated high school. Like, I hadn't tried anything. I knew sports and friends. That's all I knew. So for me, I had to try as many different part-time things as humanly possible to even understand what the world is about. I also learned that a lot of businesses are terrible and they have a structure set up so that you fail, and they know they're going to turn over and they're going to get someone else. But kind of like what Spencer said, the best opportunity is the one right in front of you. So say you have 3 different full-time jobs you can take. Find the one that you think is going to get yourself fired up the most. Pick that one and then go all in. Yeah. Actually, I can guarantee you're not going to be there for the rest of your life. So go all in, work hard, be smart, and be yourself. Because I see a lot of people our age who go into a job and they're like this complete fake person, and then they wonder why after a while when they show who they truly are, and all of a sudden the job doesn't like them anymore. Just be you right off the bat, and then that way you know if it's a fit or not.
Yeah.
Because there's a bajillion jobs out there, like literally anything you could want. So don't worry about missing out on the opportunity you didn't take. Pick one that gets you fired up and go after it, and just know that you're going to have to try a bunch of different things before you get settled in. And then the other thing for me too is I always took jobs selfishly, knowing I wasn't going to be there for very long. What I mean by that is I wanted to try as many things because my ultimate goal is to work for myself. So I wanted to do and learn skills and work hard and be nice and build connections through the workforce so that I could eventually have the skills I need to work for myself.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind too. You can use it as a stepping stone, and that is okay because they are using you for your time. So do not feel bad.
Yep. I also think one of the biggest things that our school system, you know, our parents, a lot of just society in general failed to teach us is the law of vibration. Your mind is so powerful. And if you're not using your mind correctly, then you're always just going to be going from one opportunity to the next, kind of lost, kind of confused, not knowing what life is about. But if you use your mind to actually start to build your ideal future or your ideal dream life, then the universe is actually going to start to send you opportunities that will help you become the person to achieve that vision. So that's what I see a lot of our school system. You know, anytime you were daydreaming, it's like, stop, pay attention. You know, it's like you were using your mind to create these visions, and you were visualizing things. That was kind of vilified, you know, and we were kind of condemned for doing that. But really, in all reality, that's like our biggest asset. That's our number one tool, is imagination and creativity. So use your mind to create, the future that you want to be living. Well, that phone was already shattered, so hopefully it's a little more shattered.
Yep.
But I think that's good for episode 2. You guys got anything else? We good?
No. All I would say is nothing matters. Be nice. Have fun.
Yep. Episode 2, number 1 podcast in the universe. Like, subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and make sure to call us. Dial that number 269-910-3849. We'll see you on episode 3. Love you guys. Peace.